This is the first aid unit, sections 1 through 3. We're going to go over target 1A, which is describe the signs and symptoms of illnesses that indicate a person should seek medical treatment. Target 1B, demonstrate an appropriate response when a person is choking. Target 1C, distinguish between the 3 different types of burns and the appropriate treatment for each. So let's first talk about first aid. You got to go over the definition, which is the immediate care given to someone who became injured or suddenly ill. Whether that is a broken bone or that severe bleeding, that might be poisoning, it might be an allergic reaction. And so we have what is called the chain of survival. And with that chain of survival we have here, we have these 4 things. Early access, which means calling 911. Early CPR, chest compressions, pushing down on that chest. And we'll run through CPR through this unit. Early defibrillation. Defibrillation is the AEDs, automated external defibrillators. Here at Twin Groves, we have 2 of them. One is located in the nurse's office, and the other one is located at the south entrance. That's where you come in for the buses, up on the wall. It gives like an electrical shock to the heart. They have these in airports as well, on every single airplane, every single golf course, and all the park districts, libraries, entertainment centers around the North America. And then the last one is the early advanced care. Essentially, that's the paramedics. So let's go through this. Assessing the emergency. What happens? You stumble upon emergency. What are you going to do? The first and foremost thing that you should do is check the scene. How do you do that? Look, is there anything out there? If there's an accident at Route 22 in Buffalo Grove Road, are the cars stopped? You don't want to run into something and next thing you know, you're going to get hurt. So check the scene. Make sure that it's safe. All right, once we've taken care of that, check the victim's airway and breathing. Usually they might be laying down. Look, listen, feel. You can feel that breath. You can look to see if the chest rises. Essentially, what you need to do is remember the A, B, and C's. Airway, breathing, and then C, call 911. A lot of people don't like to help out in first aid situations because they're worried about doing something wrong. They're going to be sued. We love to sue for everything here in the U.S. Whether it's hot coffee, whether it's someone tied someone's shoes wrong, who knows what it is, but we love to sue. All right, so we have this Good Samaritan law. Here's what happens. It protects an individual from being sued if something goes wrong with the treatment that was given. For example, your friend gets hit by a car. You go out there. You help to the best of your ability. You realize, okay, my friend is in shock. I lay the person down. I go through all the steps. But for some reason, he has internal injuries when he's taken to the hospital. And next thing you know, unfortunately, he passes away. Okay, now what happens? Well, those parents now then want to sue you for your negligence or the inability for you to do something properly. But you did the best of your ability. You helped out. So according to that Good Samaritan law, you cannot be sued. That's great. So now let's jump into a couple things here. We're approaching that time where we're going to start seeing more fire safety. The fall, then the holiday season, and winter. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. We have 4 main fire extinguishers. Letter A, letter B, C, and then the universal one. All right, so what do we have? We have a flammable solids. That's a letter A one. That extinguishes wood, paper, cotton, solids. We have our flammable liquids. That's our gas, our oil. We have our electrical one, and we have the universal one. Here at Twin Groves, and most of them that you will see are universal. They can fight any type of fire. Every single hallway has one fire extinguisher. Your science rooms have an additional fire extinguisher as well. They are all universal. Okay, now that we have the 4 different types, A, B, C, universal, how do you use one? All right, don't go out and do this. But, number 1, take a look at the label on a fire extinguisher. It shows you exactly what you need to do. But you can remember this acronym. PASS. Pull pin. Aim low. Squeeze lever. Sweep side to side. Oh, okay. Pull pin, aim low, squeeze lever, sweep side to side. That will go ahead, and that's how we use that fire extinguisher. Okay, now let's move on here. Smoke detectors. Ideally, your smoke detector should be checked each and every single month. Most of us don't do that. Most of us don't check them at all. And ideally, you should replace the batteries when you change the clocks. So, and that's in the fall, and that's in the spring. A simple little test will determine if that smoke detector is working. Remember, the only way to prevent a fire, or to get out of a fire, I should say, is to have working smoke detectors. So to prevent all this and making sure it works, go ahead and test it. Let's get into choking. Choking is when food goes down the trachea instead of the esophagus. Have you ever choked before? Most of the time, you can probably cough it up. So if a person is coughing, have them continue coughing. Keep coughing, keep coughing, keep coughing. If a person cannot speak or cough, you're going to perform abdominal thrusts. If you take a look at the picture here, that's the universal sign for choking. You're going to stand behind the victim, placing one hand over the victim's abdomen, thumb side touching the abdomen, with quick inward and upward thrusts. It might take 1 time, it might take 5 times, it might take 10 times. But you're going to do this until the object comes out, just like this picture down below on the left-hand side. And finally, the last part of this, of the section 1 through 3, are burns. We have what are called a first-degree burn, where the outer layer of the skin turns red. We have a second-degree burn, where we have blisters up here. And we have a third-degree burn, where the skin looks charred or burnt. All right, so let's go back. Let's take a look at these. How many of you have had a first-degree burn before? Touching a hot stove, curling iron, straightener, sunburn? Most of us have had a first-degree burn before. So that skin turns red. Some of us have had maybe more severe burns out in the sun, so that's where we develop those blisters. And a third-degree burn usually comes from a fire or a chemical. So what do? Well, for a first and second-degree burn, you place it under cold water and then wrap it in cloth to prevent infection. Third-degree burns, you would call 911 for. Those are the most severe burns. So as we go through and take a look at the treatment, when we look at sections 4 and 5, those are the next 2 sections, we'll go through some of the common medical emergencies that you might experience or be dealing with, I should say, and figure out how the treatment works for each of those. So I'm hoping you got a good understanding of this, and we're going to work more in class with burns and smoke detectors, and we're going to be drawing a floor plan of your home.